Let's have a closer look at the floors of Mercedes, Red Bull and Ferrari today and compare them with each other. We have a picture of the Mercedes floor from their garage and rare shots of the Red Bull floor because they decided to turn the floor outside the garage. Something that rarely happens, especially when the floor is not covered. And we now have pictures of the Ferrari floor because the car crashed and was lifted. So if a team wants to keep their designs secret, they need drivers who bring the car back in one piece to the pit. If a car gets stranded somewhere on the track, the team has no control over which areas are exposed anymore. But that's great for us. So now let's have a closer look at how these new 2022 floors work in general. They basically have two large tunnels either side that start with a large cross-section, have a smaller cross-section in the middle, and a larger cross-section at the back. Together with the ground underneath, this is also known as a Venturi tunnel. If we assume that the same air mass is traveling through the tunnel, the speeds need to be higher at the smaller cross-section. Higher speeds means lower pressure, so the floor produces downforce. If I now reduce the pressure behind the floor with the beam wing, I can get more air through the tunnel, which creates more downforce. Because of the low-sitting components in the center, like battery, fuel tank, engine, and gearbox, there's a flat area in the center. If there is low pressure underneath the car, air from the side will try to get underneath. If we manage to seal the floor very well, we end up with a bouncing problem that reoccurred in Formula 1 this year. Because of the sealing, the downforce is so high that the car is sucked to the ground, getting too close, loses downforce, ride height increases, downforce builds up again, and the cycle starts again. So teams are trying to find a solution here to run the car low, but still want to get air underneath to avoid bouncing. The front wheel strakes help the teams to create additional outwash to channel low energy front wheel wake outboard and to get cleaner air underneath the center of the floor. At the same time, these strakes create vortices that can help to create upwash behind the car to increase downforce. If air goes up, car goes down. If we now look at the Ferrari floor, we can see a very smooth and gentle design. This is usually what you do if you want a forgiving car that is easy to predict. Smaller radius and sharper corners, like the Red Bull floor, can create suction peaks and even separations, which could lead to tricky handling if you are unable to control the flow. But Red Bull's speciality has always been underbody flow, and the fact that they use smaller rear wings and have no bouncing issues shows that their floor works well. Ferrari is using 4 strakes either side of the floor leading edge, and the inboard one even starts underneath the monocoque. They look continuously curved. The Red Bull strakes, on the other hand, are running much further to the back, are straight in the middle, and curved at the end. Red Bull also uses 4 strakes, but they position the outer ones very close to each other and the inner ones further apart. Mercedes uses 4 strakes too, with a pretty similar gap between them and continuous curvature. The center area is smoothly curved at Mercedes and Ferrari and aggressively shaped at the Red Bull. They increase air volume underneath the car with this, but also have the risk of suction peaks. The main diffuser surface is very different for these 3 cars. While the Red Bull floor we see here is aggressive all around, it seems to use a gentle curvature for the diffuser, making it easier to predict and avoid suction peaks in the main diffuser area. Ferrari is using a kick point, which creates a velocity peak and hence high local suction. This could also be one of the reasons for their bouncing problem. They create lots of downforce locally at the back of the floor, which then sucks the car onto the street. If the flow stalls in that area, they rapidly lose lots of downforce and the car jumps up again. The rearward skid marks of the floor seem to support that theory. The Mercedes, on the other hand, is using a double kick point design, which creates 2 local suction peaks after another. This can help to distribute the pressure underneath the car better, but it can also be one of the factors contributing to their bouncing problems, similar to the Ferrari. And then we have the sides of the floor. Ferrari and Red Bull have large sidepod designs, so their floors can be supported underneath the bodywork. Mercedes has large floor areas exposed to the flow, and reinforcement either hurts aerodynamics or a stiffer floor increases weight. One pretty established feature now is the breather cut at the side to allow air to flow underneath the car, even if it's very close to the ground already. Red Bull showed us another nice trick here with a metal strake at the back with holes that prevents the floor from getting too close to the ground and still lets air through. So we can see three very different concepts here. What we learned from the Red Bull design is that they are very gentle on the main diffuser design without a local suction peak, but they seem to work with aggressive side expansion. Clever idea, because why should you always think in Y sections that create risky suction peaks if you can also create diffuser expansion in Z sections, where it's less dangerous to lose downforce when you get closer to the ground. Let's hope we will see more detailed floor pictures in the next races, so we can analyze how exactly teams try to improve their floor downforce. See you at the next video.